Welcome to Rider Nation Station, presented by American Manufacturing Solutions, your total logistics partner, investing in Rider Nation Station and St. Mary's, Ohio, and to our other fine sponsors.
Welcome to Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco. I'm your host, Zach Farrell. Thanks again for coming, Mark.
Zach, good to be here.
Mark, unbelievably, here we are going into the 7th week of football.
It goes too fast.
It does. But we had an amazing game with Kenton this week. Kenton threw for over 650 yards, but fortunately they also had almost 100 yards in penalties. That leaves us with a ton of clips that we're able to look at. So we're going to jump right in. We actually have 16 clips today.
Wow.
But we also had a viewer question out there that was sent in to us.
All right.
So we want to hit that first. Donnie Louth in St. Mary's, he had a question about the clips.
Okay.
He said, the chain gang, the guy with the clips, where does he mark the clip, and should he have two of them? And this is the chain gang for everybody else on the side of the field marking the first down,
right.
The 10 yards.
That's a great question. It's a great question. Each crew will carry with them a clip. It's either we call it a donut or basically it's a mechanical clip that you put on the chains to mark where the chains should go should they get moved. All right. Typically, the clip will go to the rear, towards the rear stake on the closest major yard line. The solid yard line goes across the field every 5 yards. It could be the 40, 35, where it is. But they will put that clip on the back of the line closest to the rear stake, basically where the ball is first snatted on a new series. All right. And then if the chains happen to get moved or God forbid the chain crew has to vacate the area for a running back and the chains are dropped, we can always go back to where the chains should have been based on that clip.
Okay.
All right. So a two-clip system, we try as a crew to ask the chain crew to use a two-clip system, and that after the first series is completed and we get a second first down, the original clip is left where it was, and then the chains are moved, and then a second clip is attached to the new rear yard line, because if there would be a question with that previous play and we had to go back to the previous spot, we'd have that first clip still on the chains.
Okay.
So in other words, after the second first down play is run, that first clip is taken off and put in the clip guy's pocket, not to be used again until the chains are moved again for another first down.
And those clips are what we see when they're measuring where the ball is out there in the middle of the field. They lift those clips up and they take them out to the hash mark.
Take them out to the yard line where it needs to be, and the clip is always placed at the back of the yard line closest to the rear stake. And then one of the wing guys will mark that spot, stretch the chains, and then we have a spot exactly where it should be to measure for a first down.
And that's how they're able to say that where that clip is on the sideline is exactly where it is wherever they bring it out in the field.
If the field is marked perfectly, yes, it works fine. Now, you get some that aren't, but you have to go with what the yard lines are, and you take what you got.
Okay, so bottom line, they don't have to use a two-clip or a single clip, but you prefer a two-clip system.
We prefer a two-clip. Let's call it insurance. Hopefully you never have to use that sort of thing. We have never as a crew, knock on wood, but there have been instances in the game where they've had to go back and get that original spot. Yep.
Well, thank you, Donnie Louth, for sending that question in. Anybody else has any other questions, be sure to get them to us. We have a few more weeks here of the Rules of the Game show, and we'd love to talk about them.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to start going through those 16 different clips that we have and talk about some of the penalties and or lack thereof penalties that should have been called or were called in the St. Mary's Kenton game. So join us on the other side.
Guarneri's on Spring Street, home of the signature Big Ralph sub, pizza, and calzone. Come try our thirst-quenching Rider-Aid before, during, and after the game. And this Friday is the last Friday for live music, and we're going out with a bang. Stop in and party with Free Rider this Friday night. It's Guarneri's. Give them a call at 419-394-2244.
Welcome back to Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco. Mark, since we have so many clips today, I wanted to start out maybe a little easier. So
all right.
These first clips are just some holding calls that were had. And I just wanted your thoughts on them. This first one was called on St. Mary's, number 6 right there. As the running back is going out to the left side, you can kind of see just at the end of the play, number 6 arm is out, and it's holding onto a jersey there.
Yep, it looks like he grabbed a little bit of jersey. A little bit of philosophy there. Technically, is that a holding call? Yeah, okay. But I believe the defender there ultimately makes the tackle. So you have to weigh the action by the offensive guy against what happens on the play. Was there an advantage given? Well, not really, because we've got tackle is made for a loss, and the defender right there is 25, I believe it looks like. He actually does not make the tackle, but he's right there in position to make the tackle should that first guy miss.
So there was no advantage gained, so it's maybe something that should have...
Philosophy-wise, they tell us to leave that go.
Okay. It's technically a hold,
Technically it was, but
didn't help anything. So
Correct.
Kind of slows the game down.
It does, and the advantage of officials versus football versus basketball is we have time to digest what we've seen.
Right.
Basketball, you got to make the call right away. Here, we can kind of take in everything and weigh the advantage, disadvantage to something.
Okay, makes sense. That's good to know. And the next, we have another holding call here. This one was called on Kenton. It's going to be at the very end of this play. So Kenton's it's going to be to the left side of your screen. Kenton's going to do a quick pass here on the right side, and then the receiver's going to come all the way across to the left side of your screen. As they're going out of bounds, right there, it looks like they call it on number 3, on holding number St. Mary's number 7 there.
Wow, that's again, there doesn't look like there's much there. Again, we're looking at it from the end zone view. He could have latched on. Could he have a hold of the jersey right there? Probably. Mm-hmm. Is the defender headed that way and the offensive man looking to go out of bounds? Yes. Advantage, disadvantage, maybe not. So maybe too technical.
Okay. So a little bit more of a technical call there with it. So one more holding clip here. This again was on St. Mary's. It's on number 7 there. You can see it looks like a pretty good pancake block to me.
Yeah, from this angle, it looks pretty good, but he could have had a hold of the jersey in there, or an arm, not allowing the defender to get away from him. Let's see if we can run that through and see if we can tell what's going on. Yeah, he's got him, but again, he makes a tackle.
Right.
So advantage, disadvantage, I'll leave it to the viewer to decide.
Okay, and that was number 7 coming out of the running back position there.
Right.
Attacking the D end and taking him to the ground, but it's hard from that angle to tell exactly. So, okay, this next clip is very interesting. I don't see this called very often.
Okay.
I want everybody to focus on the returner for Kenton underneath the goalpost. You'll see as the ball is kicked from St. Mary's on a punt, you'll see the returner back there wave his arm, signifying fair catch.
Fair catch, yep.
The ball hits the ground, bounces a little bit. He grabs it and takes off. Whistle is blown dead because it was a fair catch called. And actually they called delay game on him for taking off there.
Now, the defender, the receiver, made the fair catch signal. Once the ball hits the ground, it's not possible to have a fair catch, technically. Okay. All right. But once the ball is recovered, after you've given the signal, the ball is dead.
Okay.
So, he knew he'd give the signal. He shouldn't have taken off with it. They're high school kids. Sometimes they forget. So he takes off, runs several steps. Technically, is that call correct? Yes, it is. That's what they tell us to do. He runs several steps after a fair catch. It's a delay of game call. Now, when was the whistle blown? That sort of thing. It was more than a couple steps. So, yes, technically, could it be supported? Yes. Should that have been called? In my game, I would have probably got it after my back judge and said, just get on the whistle sooner, kill it, and don't worry about it.
Okay. No harm, no foul.
No
basically.
harm, no harm. But they'll get 5 yards. It'll be 1st and 10, and they'll start down the field. So really, it's not a big deal.
Right. I don't think, unfortunately, that it slowed Kenton down very much. We're going to see on this next clip here. I think the same drive, Kenton eventually got down the field, and through this touchdown, it was a screen in the middle of the play, but it was called back for a legal man downfield.
Right.
So
it looks like 67 has ventured beyond it's called the expanded neutral zone, more than 2 yards from where the ball was snapped. So let's take a look and we can tell. There he goes. Yeah, he's He's right there on the edge.
And we learned from earlier in the year that it's when the quarterback releases the ball.
Correct. So he appears to be just outside the expanded neutral zone when the ball was released. Now, that's in my opinion fairly technical. Was it the correct call? Yes, but it could be debated that was he or was he not, depending on where the ball, when the ball was released from the quarterback's hands. So
Okay.
Technically a correct call.
Okay. Well, and I know Kenton that was called back on a touchdown, but they ended up scoring a play or two later, so didn't hurt them too much, but like you said, padded their stats maybe a little bit too with that. So interesting, though, to see where exactly that neutral zone is and how close that can be a call either way.
Right.
We're going to go ahead and take another break. When we come back, we're going to start going through more of these clips. We have a lot of them to get through, so be sure to join us on the other side.
Guarneri's on Spring Street, home of the signature Big Ralph Sub, Pizza, and Calzone. Come try our thirst-quenching Rider-Aid before, during, and after the game. And this Friday is the last Friday for live music, and we're going out with a bang. Stop in and party with Free Rider this Friday night. It's Guarneri's. Give them a call at 419-394-2244.
Welcome back to Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco. Mark, this next clip that we're going to look at was a false start in the end zone. I think Kenton was trying to be a little tricky here.
Okay.
It looks like they tried to move their line from one side, kind of overweighted one side, and then back to the other side, maybe to stop St. Mary's from being able to get set as much.
Sure.
But they were called for a false start, and I wonder if you could walk us through that.
Absolutely. So the still here looks like everybody except 5 is set. If our film guy would run the clip, here we go. All right, we got folks moving. It looks like the backs are moving. But at this point, the linemen were set, and now they move. And as soon as that guard or tackle picked up his hands, that's foul because they were on the line of scrimmage and they were covered up by a tight end, and they are restricted in their movement once they put the hands on the ground. And obviously they didn't handle that very well because they moved after everybody was set. And that is indeed a false start call. It's a good call. Yep.
So if they would have kept their hands on their knees.
If they could have put their hands on their knees, and the rule says not on the ground or not near the ground.
Okay.
Right? And hands on knees is not considered near the ground. They could have shifted out of that and moved to another spot on the line of scrimmage without any issues.
And I think sometimes you see that actually from Kenton on some of their extra points. They'll do a line shift back and forth there, and they never put their hands on the ground. So maybe that's something that they're looking to try to do there, but it wasn't done correctly, I guess, in that
Not on
instance.
that play, correct.
Okay. I think that did hurt them because that took them from a yard out to 5 or 6 yards out. I'm not positive whether they scored there. I think they may have actually had to kick a field goal. So that really might have cost them on that one. Okay, we have a call here of targeting, of helmet contact on Kenton. St. Mary's quarterback Kurt Bupp rolls to the right, and at the end there he goes down, and Kenton's player comes in there. Looks like a little bit late of a hit there, but they called it as a targeting to the helmet, or they called helmet contact.
Yeah, it looked like there might have been some helmet-to-helmet there. However, inadvertent it might have been. Change in levels. The officials looks at that and decides, yes, there was enough to throw the flag. Helmet to helmet is kind of subjective in a couple ways, especially when you have two kids that are changing levels. And by that, we mean the running back's going down and the defender is up, and then he's trying to meet him at the same level, not necessarily put the helmet in there. That's a difficult call to make, especially in a situation like that. The official, made a judgment right away, and it would be supported.
Now, they call that as a legal helmet contact. Does that only mean helmet to helmet, or could it be punching the helmet, or
it could be any of those things? It could be, everything except a face mask call. I mean, helmet touching helmet. You've got an arm or an elbow maybe touching with the helmet or something like that. Anything that's with the helmet involved like that could be called and would be called illegal helmet contact. Now, that's probably not a targeting call, technically. Targeting call is a little bit different, but it looked like it was late, and there may have been helmet-to-helmet at the end of the play.
Okay, so even if he would have come in with an elbow on top of the helmet, it still could have been called that contact.
So you got a couple things that's possible there, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
The next play we have here is it was called incomplete. It was an attempted interception by St. Mary's, called incomplete because they said it was trapped and hit the ground.
Okay.
Just wanted to talk about what constitutes a trap as opposed to an actual catch there. This one's on the defensive side, but certainly would apply on offensive side too.
Sure. The defender right there makes a play on the football, and it looks like he's got his hands underneath the ball from the angle we have. But unfortunately, he did not complete the interception or the catch. The ball comes out. You can't really see it on that angle, but the ball comes out right away. And in this case, the ground can cause a fumble, so to speak. He's got to complete the catch.
Okay.
And by completing the catch, he's got to do something with the football after he has possession of it, whether that's roll over with it, hand it to the official, or cradle it in there. If that ball hadn't jumped out right there, it would have been probably a good call for a completion or an interception. However, when that skipped out, definitely didn't have possession of it.
And there's the defenders, as they're intercepting the ball, have the exact same rules about completing a catch as an offensive wide receiver does.
Exact same thing. Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it does look there if you see the end of the play that the ball just pops out a little bit. Bottom line is needs to complete the catch, have some sort of
a movement after the catch,
afterwards.
something related to the catch that would tell the official, yes, he's done a good job.
Okay. Another one. Next play, we have a blocking below the waist called on St. Mary's.
Okay.
Frankly, it's pretty obvious here. The quarterback kind of rolls out and blocks. Like to see that. Love to see that effort of the quarterback, but gets under the knees there.
Good hustle by the quarterback on that play. I don't know whether that was designed or not. Probably not.
No, I think it was a sweep to the other side, and Ty Howell just kind of cut it back.
Bottled up, and here he comes, and the quarterback's leading, and that's definitely. And the official does a nice job of getting the call and then continuing to officiate. So, correct call there.
Yep. Okay, well, that's another 4 clips there. So we're going to go ahead and take another break. When we got back, we still have 8 more clips to go. Like I said, Kent had almost 100 yards of penalties. St. Mary's had, I think, 40. So over 140 yards of penalties that we're able to look at, and quite the game. So catch us on the other side.
Guarneri's on Spring Street, home of the signature Big Ralph sub, pizza, and calzone. Come try our thirst-quenching Rider-Aid before, during, and after the game. And this Friday is the last Friday for live music, and we're going out with a bang. Stop in and party with Free Rider this Friday night. It's Guarneri's. Give them a call at 419-394-2244.
And welcome back to Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco. Mark, this next clip that we're going to look at here was a double handoff pass by St. Mary's. So we have the pitch out there, and then a handoff to number 7, and then a pass deep. Unfortunately, it was not caught by Ty Howell, but just wanted to go over again what the rules are for being able to pass behind the line like that by a running back.
Yeah, that's no problem there. What they did there was perfectly fine. You have a backward pass, a pitch, if you will, and then a backward handoff, all behind the line of scrimmage. That's all fine. And then you have number 7 making the forward pass, which is fine. And there's only one forward pass allowed per game or per scrimmage play, and he has to throw it behind the line. Everything about that was perfectly legal, perfectly fine, and there's no issues at all with something like that. And he could have handed it. The second guy could have handed it forward. As long as everything was behind the line,
okay.
You can do all kinds of stuff back
there.
That
was going to be my next question. It doesn't. We talked about this before, but it doesn't matter if the handoff is forward or backwards, as long as they're behind the line of scrimmage.
Correct.
It can still be a pass there.
It's not a problem there at all. Now, if that first pitch had been forward, that's considered a forward pass.
Right.
And then so the second one by number 7 would have been prohibited if that would have happened. But it was pitched backwards, handed backwards, and then the pass, everything about that was just
And we
fine.
talked about that could come in when you have these little jet sweeps that you just pitch it forward a little bit.
Yep.
That counts as a forward pass, so you cannot have a second pass after that.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, that's why we wanted to look at those things. The next play here, Mark, is something that truthfully I've never seen before.
Okay.
I've seen some deflections off of officials, but I've never seen it deflect off of the side judge and then a player catch the ball afterwards like this.
Okay.
So what we have here is the Kenton quarterback takes the ball back, looks to the left to sort of do a quick out. The ball actually bounces off of the side judge, kind of straight up into the air, and is caught then by the Kenton wide receiver inbounds.
That's interesting play. That is very interesting. I'm assuming that the linesman right there was standing out of bounds or maybe straddling the line. That's fine. But as soon as the ball touched him and he's standing on the sideline or outside the sideline, the ball is dead at that point. It's contact at something that's out of bounds, whether that be the down marker, down box, the down markers, the stands, whatever it might be. As soon as it's thrown there and he's standing out of bounds and it is deflected, ball's dead. No, that doesn't matter what happens for the remainder of the play. I mean, the receiver could have caught it inbounds and tried to run, but it would have been dead at that point.
But if that side judge would have been standing a foot inbounds or 6 inches inbounds, that would have been a live ball.
It's like it never happened. It's live ball, and away we go. Sure. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it was thrown so hard that it would have definitely gone out of bounds without the receiver catching it.
No issues whatsoever there.
He becomes basically like another player that would be in the game because that.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're exactly right. Yep.
Okay. So the key factor of that was that he was standing out of bounds, because I know we've seen other plays before where the
like the umpire
gets
hit.
hit.
Kick. Yep.
Yep.
Perfectly fine. Yep.
Okay. Well, that was interesting. I'd never seen anything like that before. So the next we have here is a face mask. It actually looked like more of the defender on Kenton actually pulling the St. Mary's running back's helmet.
Okay.
So at the very end of this run here by Ty Howe, another good hard run. See number 24 in Kenton there, just kind of pull him down by that helmet.
And Ty knew exactly what had happened there. Yeah, the rule states that you cannot grab a helmet opening face mask, and helmet opening is the front part of the helmet, they're underneath the crown, above the mask, the ear holes, or the back of the helmet, if you will. That's considered a helmet opening. So any hand gets slipped in there, it's going to draw a flag.
Okay. Doesn't matter if it's the face mask or any part of the helmet. It's all considered a face mask penalty.
That's correct. Now, you got to know that if just putting the hand on, let's say, the top of the helmet, and how kids can sometimes pull without getting their fingers inside, that's fine. But once you slip the fingers inside, or any opening, then that's going to draw.
So it's just grabbing a part of it, not necessarily pushing on the top
correct.
or the side.
Correct. If you just grab here and pull on the outside of the helmet, no big deal. But if you get inside of it, that's an issue.
Now, while we're talking about this, that just brought up a question in my head about hair.
Okay.
I've heard in the NFL they've had a lot of players with dreadlocks and longer hair. And they've said that's part of the uniform that can be pulled.
Correct.
Is it the same way in high school?
The rule books make no distinction for anything along those lines. So yes, if you had somebody that had the long hair and the defender got a handful of it, it's play on.
Okay, not considered a face, not part of that. So that's
Absolutely
a completely
not.
different part of it.
Yep.
Okay. That's interesting. So the next play that we have here, I was sitting on the Kenton side doing stats up there in the box. A few of the fans over there thought that this was a pass interference call. Nothing was called on the field. Just wanted to talk about the contact between the wide receiver and the defender and whether it rose to that level or not.
I would say, looking at that play, it did not. That appears to be just two players playing the football. Each have equal rights to the ball. Once it's in the air like that, each have equal rights, which a lot of people don't understand. But either or can go after the football. It's just two kids going after the football, and you have what appears to be no restrictions on either one. So it's good, no call.
Okay. We're going to take another break. When we come back, we have our last few clips here.
Okay,
so
great.
Go ahead, and we'll check you out on the other side of this break.
Guarneri's on Spring Street, home of the signature Big Ralph sub, pizza, and calzone. Come try our thirst-quenching Rider-Aid before, during, and after the game. And this Friday is the last Friday for live music, and we're going out with a bang. Stop in and party with Free Rider this Friday night. It's Guarneri's. Give them a call at 419-394-2244.
Thank you again to our sponsors, and we're back here with Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco. Mark, this next call, they called it a catch, but frankly, from watching it on here when I was reviewing some of the film, it looks like it should have been an incomplete catch by Kenton.
Okay.
So we have here the Kenton wide receiver is going to be throwing the ball towards the right side of the screen, basically kind of like maybe a 10-yard out. And
we have a little bobble at the end, don't we? Yeah. If the ball hits the ground there, that's probably incomplete. And it's a little tough to catch, whether or not the angle's not great, and we don't have really close up like we do in some other college or pros. But it sure looks like the ball may have been bobbled and touched the ground, which would make it incomplete. All the St. Mary's players seem to think it was.
I thought it was kind of telling the way that the Kenton wide receiver sort of double clutched it there too. that it kind of looked like it had to have been laying on the ground the way that he pulled it back up.
It looks like that the wing guy over there, the sideline official, didn't have a great look at it, and that's not his fault because the player had his back to him and couldn't really see what went on. Probably could have been handled a little bit better by him, looking for help on the inside. But if that's the case, then we're told, if in doubt in that situation, rule it a catch.
Okay.
So he makes a call, and whether he got help or not, couldn't tell from that angle. But we should have had the back judge and or the umpire looking at that, giving some help.
Right.
To maybe get the call correct.
Somebody from the inside of
Correct.
the
Looking
field
out.
should be looking out.
Correct.
To see whether that hit the ground, because that guy on the outside couldn't tell.
Couldn't really tell.
Because the player was blocking it there, kind of
And
lying
he had
on the
a
side.
choice to make at that point. So,
Okay.
Yep.
Well, the next play that we have here is wasn't called anything, but there was a sort of a hit on the quarterback after he released the ball. Didn't tackle him, didn't take him to the ground. Just was curious, though. It kind of gives us an opportunity to talk about what is roughing the passer and what's not.
Yeah, that definitely looks like to me it was not. I mean, there was no taking to the ground. There was no helmet to helmet. There was nothing there that would have caused. And was it undue late? Probably not, because that kid is and there's no rule in high school about you get 1 step or 2 steps or something like that.
Okay.
There's really nothing there that would say, hey, this is, and that's close enough. He did a nice job there trying to lay off, and there's no foul to be called there. Good no call there by the referee. But what you have there is the defender is charged with avoiding contact if at all possible.
Okay.
And so then it becomes a judgment on the referee's part as to, was it possible, was it not? Did he come in? Was he trying to block the pass? Was he just trying to punish the quarterback at that point? So there's a lot of things that go into that, and it is truly a judgment call.
Okay. And what's curious about that, so there is no 1 second, 2 second. It's just the up to the officials' judgment as to whether it's late or not.
We're told as a referees to, when the ball is released, to yell, "Ball's away" or "Ball's gone." And if there's a hit after that, then there's a pretty good indication that there might be a roughing call.
And the idea is that the defender could have stopped that hit.
True. But then the thing you have to look at too is if he's coming in high and going after the helmet or the head, and is he trying to block the throw? Is he trying to tackle the quarterback while he still has the ball, or is he just going in there just to make malicious contact? Sometimes all that goes out the window depending on what you see.
Well, I'm not envious that the officials have to check out those many things on a pass play, especially when Kenton had, I think, 87 attempts during the game.
That's a lot of opportunities to make a call or non-call. That's for sure.
Right. So what we have, I want to go over next is just towards the end of the game, a series of events on the kickoff.
Okay.
For Kenton. So this first clip here, we have Kenton kicking the ball out of bounds on their kickoff. Actually, it was pretty close here to staying in bounds and being a little dicey there for St. Mary's.
It sure looked that way, yes.
They could recover that as an onside kick,
They
right?
could recover it. They can't take it into the end zone, but they can recover it at the spot that they get it and go 1st and 10 from that spot, sure.
Fortunately, it did go out of bounds. So what's the rule when it goes out of bounds like that?
All right, so the receiving team has some choices. They can take the ball at the spot where it went out of bounds.
Okay.
They can take a 5-yard penalty from the previous kickoff spot, march the kicking team back 5 yards, re-kick.
Okay.
They can take the ball 25 yards from where the ball was kicked, which normally they're kicking from the 40, would put the ball at the offense's own 35-yard line.
Okay.
And go from there.
Okay.
Okay, so there's multiple things that can go on. A lot of times in the past with Kenton teams, from my experience, they normally don't have really good deep kickers, so they're going to squib or they're going to onside or they're going to do something like that because they feel that their chances of recovering something are decent.
Right.
So, in this game, it looks like from the next clip that the coaches decided to march him back 5 and re-kick.
Right. Coach Fry decided in this circumstance to make them re-kick, so they marked it back 5 yards and had to re-kick it. Now, before they actually were able to re-kick it, I think because of that confusion, because most of the time teams will take the ball on the 35 and it was done.
Right.
You had a player that was not out there in position. So, as you can see in the clip here, we're going to have the player actually runs in from the sidelines.
Yep.
Now, when is he allowed to run in there from the sidelines like that on a kickoff?
Kickoff like that, he was fine right there. All right, he got there before the ball was kicked. and he was on his correct side of the line, and there's no issues there. Had the ball been kicked before he got to his side of the line when he was running in there, that would have been a foul right away.
Okay, so if theoretically, if the kicker would have been running towards the ball and he's running at the same time, that doesn't matter as long as by the time the ball is kicked, he's on the other side of it?
He's on his side of the line.
Okay.
In theory, yes.
Okay, and he doesn't have to be set necessarily on a kickoff
Doesn't
either.
have to be set right there. Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, well, I wanted to talk about that because you don't see that happen all the time. And
You see kids forget that they're in there, but
Right.
normally what happens there is that we as officials will not let teams kick either side without 11 on the field.
Okay.
Because we're counting, we should know how many's there, and we should say, look, make sure you got enough kids out here. We won't tell them that, but as soon as we hint and say, hey, count your players, or it looks like something's not right, then you got coaches and kids counting, and they'll fix that before we blow a whistle to make everything go. So.
Gotcha. Well, it ended up working out pretty nice there
Yes.
for St. Mary's. As you can see at the end of the clip there, they were able to take it about past the 50. So good decision by the coaching staff on
Good
that
decision
one.
on that one, yep.
All right, these last couple clips that we have here, just a series. We have a false start on Kenton and then a neutral zone, so nothing too out of the ordinary
Okay,
here.
great,
But
yep.
on Kenton, you can look at the very top of your screen there. Kenton's wide receiver, just before the ball is snapped, has a little, I don't know what you call it, a hitch. Yeah.
Hitch, if you will. Yep, that's enough to cause a flag. So he missed the snap count there. He wasn't fully focused. He was listening to the quarterback instead of watching the ball. And receivers are told mostly to watch the football. And he, being a high school kid, and it's done in the pros as well. You see him miss snap counts. It happens, and
Right.
it was correct call. Shut it down and penalize 5 and start again.
And that's a dead ball penalty, so
Dead
it
ball
goes back
foul.
5 yards. The play, even though it was snapped, doesn't technically count.
Correct.
Gets-
and you move back and you go again.
Gets
Yep.
called. All right, so I think either the next play or 2 plays later. No, I think it was the next play because there you can see the balls. It's second down here. St. Mary's gives them 5 yards right back with a neutral zone jump here.
Yep.
But I guess that I hear, I know in the pros and in college, once a defender jumps into the neutral zone, they can fix that.
They can get back, sure.
Can they do that in high school?
High school ball, once he breaks the basically the point of the football, the neutral zone, and he did definitely right there, it's a foul.
Okay.
Nothing happens. If they had snapped the ball, it would have been a dead ball. Nothing could go on. It's done. 5 yards and away you go.
Doesn't matter if any offensive player moves while he's in the neutral zone. Doesn't matter if they don't have to be they don't have to cause any kind of
Nope.
commotion on the offensive side. Simply in high school, simply the defender being in that neutral zone is enough to get the 5 yard penalty,
Being
the
enough.
encroachment.
Correct. That's
Okay.
correct. Yep.
That's excellent because I think that's something that we forget a lot. I think I knew that at one time, but probably forgot it again. So that is a very different play, though, from what you see in the NFL and the college
That's
level.
correct. Yep.
Well, that's why we do this, Mark. So thank you for this marathon of clips here for the Kenton game. Hopefully we have just as much material to go through this week with St. Mary's.
Well, let's hope not. Let's
Well,
hope it's a clean game.
Yeah. If we do have that many clips, hopefully it's on the other team.
There you go.
Not on St. Mary's.
There
So,
you go.
Thank you again for joining us. If there's any questions that you have, please send those in. Also, please take this time to subscribe to our YouTube page, like our Facebook page so that you can catch up on all the videos that we put out here. We are going to be having a live broadcast of this game on Friday night. And so that's going to be my first time doing color commentary with Joe Hurlbert.
Well, good luck.
Looking forward to that.
It'll be fun.
And we'll be sure to see you next week here at Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco.
This episode of Rider Nation Station has been sponsored by American Manufacturing Solutions, your total logistic partner, investing in the St. Mary's community.
Guarneri's on Spring Street, home of the signature Big Ralph sub, pizza, and calzone. Come try our thirst-quenching Rider-Aid before, during, and after the game. And this Friday is the last Friday for live music, and we're going out with a bang. Stop in and party with Free Rider this Friday night. It's Guarneri's. Give them a call at 419-394-2244.